What is up, Team TRE? I have a special surprise for you because for the first time in a very long time, we have not one coach, not two, not three, but 4 TRE coaches here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm going to invite them in right now. Come on in, guys. Yeah. So who do we have with us today? I'm Coach Morgan.
I'm Coach Dan.
I'm Coach Alexandra.
I'm Coach Erin.
And we are going to be talking with Dan because he's actually headed up to Auburn, California to do a trail race tomorrow. Super stoked for that, by the way. And we're going to be talking all about trail strategy for those race days on the trails. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I've just traveled 7,000 kilometers from Eastern Canada all the way over here to the west coast of the United States. Tomorrow I'm running 100K at the Canyons Endurance Race by UTMB. So I've got 100K to go, about a little more than 2,000 meters of elevation change. I'm worried about hydration and nutrition. Coach Erin, what do I need to know?
Yikes, that is tough. I commend you for taking on that challenge. Let me ask you a couple questions.
Yep.
So when did you arrive here to California?
About 10 o'clock last night.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I hope you hydrated all the way here while you were on the airplane.
Yeah, I spent a fair bit of time queued up for the bathroom at the back of the plane. Yes.
Yes, that was wise. Are you taking in electrolytes? Because rumor has told me that it's going to be a warm one up there, and everyone is in for a little bit of a shock because we've had such a long winter and nobody has adjusted or acclimated to this heat. So taking in the electrolytes, drinking more fluids than you think you need, all the way up there in the car all day today. And likely you are probably not going to be hungry because you are eating all kinds of carbs and all kinds of things that you probably don't normally eat. But just keep doing it. You're going to need it.
Right, so fuel up today, overhydrate a little bit today, focus on electrolytes.
Yes.
And then what about tomorrow morning before the race?
Definitely give yourself plenty of time to digest some food. So what time does your race start?
Race starts at 5 a.m.
That's early. If it were me, I would eat at 3, just so your stomach has a chance to calm down. And I would take in some fuel right before the start line. I would be drinking. I'd have something just right in your hand. I'd be drinking it. I'd have some electrolytes, and I would have something that your body is familiar with right before you start that run. How does that sound?
It sounds perfect. I personally am an avocado guy on race day.
Yeah.
Avocado with salt and lemon juice has always been my go-to breakfast. Get some good fats in and get ready to run.
Good.
Thank you for this advice.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Well, good luck, Dan.
Thank you.
All right.
Coach Alexandra, this isn't my first 100K, but this is a big one. It's my first UTMB World Series race, and I am a little stressed about it. I've always loved how you think about the mental part of racing and performing as an athlete. What's your advice as I try to get some sleep tonight and stress going into race day tomorrow?
Yeah, I think there's a balance, right? Like there's pressure that you put on yourself, but also that like everybody feels. And then it's also important to remind yourself that like, why do you do this? You do this to enjoy the trails, enjoy nature, being out there. And it's so easy to like lose sight of that when you're in a race and when everyone's around you and everyone's feeling that pressure. So I usually just like try to remind myself that like, why am I here? Why did I do this? And how far have I come just to make it to this spot? Because I always try to remind myself like, getting on that start line isn't a given, right? We go through like injuries, fatigue, mentally and physically. So like just getting on the start line is a win in itself. And then everything you do after that, I like to think of it as like a victory lap. Like you're just there to like the training, all of that hard work has already been done and you know you can do it. So just like you go for it and you have fun. And if you have fun and you don't get too caught up in what everyone else is doing, you have your own race. I find that's where you find the most success.
I love that. Getting to the starting line is always the hardest part, and I have something that some running pals and I say sometimes when we're out there and things get tough, and that's always try to have upward-facing mouth quarters. So that'll be my goal. Thanks for sharing that with me. Coach Morgan, I'm so excited for tomorrow. You've run a ton of trail races.
Done a couple.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear your top tips for race strategy, but also anything else a trail runner needs to keep in mind on race day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go even back a little bit before race day, like race weekend, race prep as you're getting ready for any trail race. One of the biggest things would be, it sounds like you have already done this, is check out the course.
know the course. If it's mountainous, you don't have to know every twist and turn, but you should have a pretty good general sense of where you're going. You know what peaks you're going to be hitting, where the aid stations are, just so that you can have that like mental preparation. But also a lot of times, I know when I've been on those trail races, you zone out a little bit, and sometimes the only thing telling you that you're on the course is like a little teeny tiny flag, and that can be like, oh my god, have I seen a flag in the last 5 minutes? I can't remember. Oh my god, I don't know. So I'd really suggest like printing off the race map and then like laminating it or putting it in a Ziploc baggie just so that it doesn't get ruined, just for a little bit of peace of mind, because we know up in the mountains, not a lot of cell service sometimes. So it's always good to just have that little bit of extra preparation, I would say.
Yeah, the other thing I love to do is, for me, the back half of a race, if I get in that mentally tough zone, is not knowing where the aid stations are and not remembering the distance between them. And so I don't do it for the front half of 100K, but the back half of 100K, I have the aid station distances right here on my
there, yeah.
in sharp.
Yeah.
And so I know where they are, I know how far to go.
And that's really good for fueling strategies as well, too, and being able to manage like water and electrolytes and stuff like that, knowing, okay, I know that in exactly 2 miles, I am going to reach an aid station, and you can kind of like mentally calculate how long that's going to get there. So if you are running low on any supplies, you can start to, what's the word I'm looking for, divide that out.
Yeah.
Portion size that out so that you can make sure that you're going to get there and not get into that like bonky state that we desperately want to avoid.
Yeah. Hey, tell me a little bit about pacing strategy for a race this long in the mountains.
You're going to start off slow. I wanted to feel like I'm out for like a slow motion walk, right? This should be super easy, super casual, because it's going to be a long way. I would say, especially if this is your first time or you're a little bit newer, really being easy on those uphills and downhills. So if it's like a super hilly course, maybe just, hitting that power hike, right? Hands on my knees, I'm using my arms a little bit, taking that pressure off of my lower body, doing some power hiking on the uphills, and then trying to keep it like nice and loosey-goosey, flowy on those downhills, because, as we were literally just talking right before this, we've gotten into some races where those downhills, especially if they're really runnable and you just have that leg turnover going, you're going to crush your quad. So, depending on how your training went, just like kind of take it a little bit easier on those downhills, get to halfway, reassess. I like to, depending on how far the race is, take it in chunks. Usually for me, that's like the aid stations. Yeah. I'm gonna measure my race in aid stations. So just get to the next one, see how I feel, do a mental check-in, just like Alexandra was talking about. This is a huge mental endeavor. How do I feel? How does my body feel? Full body scan, and then kind of take it aid station by aid station.
Totally. Last top tip from Coach Morgan on a trail race day. What do I need to know?
What do you need to know?
It's mandatory kit, right?
Yes.
So the real problem here is that when you're out for a long run at home, you put in what you think you're going to need. And if you don't have everything, it's not the end of the world, because you turn around,
head home. Yeah.
These races, they tell you what you need to bring.
Yeah. So I would definitely say, if this is your first time, you've already gone to the website, you've researched the race course, everything like that. But sometimes there is mandatory gear that you must have in your pack. They will not let you start the race without it. I've definitely come to a couple of races like that where you're up in those bigger mountains where at the bottom it can look like this and be beautiful and sunny, and you get up on those peaks and it is freezing cold and you can hit lots of different temperature changes. So if you're not already thinking about this, bring layers, even if it's not mandatory, some lighter layers to carry within your pack, even if you're like, I think it's going to be fine. But definitely check the race website to see if there is specific mandatory gear that you must carry. A lot of times it's like one of those the blankets, the warm blanket, a bivvy. I don't know if that's, does that use in the U.S.?
I don't know. I can't call it a bivvy.
I just call it a floor blanket. Yeah, emergency blanket. Yeah. Either way, one of those blankets is typically one of those things, and sometimes it's like specific amounts of water that you must carry with you.
Right, and then the other one that I think is really mandatory. So first of all, when the website says mandatory, that's mandatory. You don't need to email the race director and ask if you really need to bring a hooded jacket.
You really have to do it.
It's mandatory. The other thing that we should keep in mind is that at aid stations years ago, there used to be cups everywhere, and they were already filled with electrolytes, so you just grab one on the way through. That's not the way it is anymore. You've got to bring a collapsible, reusable in your vest. And so don't forget that one, otherwise you get to the aid station.
You're going to be like, just pouring it under and do like one of these.
Guys.
Yeah. So that's definitely something you want to bring in there. But hey, I know you guys can do it. I know you can do it. I'm super excited for you.
He's going to crush this race day. And actually, we have another member over here, the Yes Dance Posse. Come on, man, come on. We have 2 guys here that we are sending off for race day. So we're going to wish them the best of luck on this endeavor. And if you guys have any other race questions around strategy, pacing, nutrition, whatever, please drop in the comments below. I'll answer them because they're probably going to be tired from the race. So definitely I will be getting to them. Good luck to these guys, and we hope to see you out on the trails.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye.